What I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today is how you can engage and inspire this blogosphere to talk about your brand in a way that the blogger finds exciting and that you find helpful as well. If there is one really big introductory piece of advice I'd give to everyone in the room, is the best way to understand social media is to use the tools and encourage the leadership in your companies to use those tools. So without further ado, and my first bit of advice is before you rush in, just spend some time listening. Spend some time getting to know what people are saying about your brand. Spend some time getting to know the different personalities of all the blogs that are out there, and really get to know how your brand is being discussed. Because without that context, it's very difficult to develop a strategy to understand how you might be able to take what's available out there and turn it into a strategy that works for your brand. The next thing I would say is target. So I've put up here this ranking that's come out recently, just updated recently. It's called the Style 99 ranking. And that's not to say this is the only ranking. But this slide is basically to say, now that you know, now that you've been listening, start to target. I mean, there's no point in sending out mass PR emails and press releases to hundreds of bloggers that are unpersonalized. You might as well find the bloggers that might be most inspired and most interested in your content because they've already been talking about you, or because there's something about their personality and voice that fits. Once you've figured out who those bloggers are, the next piece of advice is to get personal. Cultivate a long-term, reciprocal relationship with these bloggers. And the key word there is reciprocal. It's not about going to the bloggers and saying, hey, here's this information, write about it. It's the most insulting thing to a blogger to get these very unpersonalized spam emails. And I can tell you, bloggers just delete those emails. They don't even read them. So you're wasting your time. What you should do is get to know people. You can get to know people on Twitter. You can get to know people by email. Develop a relationship with the blogger before you need something from them. Then when the moment comes that you have the perfect initiative or campaign, you already have a relationship with them. The other thing I really like is when brands hold targeted events for bloggers, right? So there's events that you could invite everyone to, like press and buyers and everyone you have relationships with. But I got this invitation from Tiffany, but I just thought it was such a nice invitation. To say, congratulations on creating a blog with a distinctive voice and must-read status. We'd like to get to know you. What a nice message to say that to someone, and you know that it's not going to be this huge event with 600 people. They've really figured out who you are. You go to the event, you get to know them as individuals. They can actually put a face to the name behind the email. This is a point that's come up also a few times today, but I think it's worth emphasizing. Think of yourself as a publisher. Think of yourself as someone who's creating content. The example we have here is this Chanel news blog that's gone up recently, and which 5 to 10 times a month is regularly putting out interesting behind-the-scenes content. And by creating content, by writing your own blog, by inspiring readers, you're going to create situations where other people may want to take that content and share it. It's part of this link economy that we see growing on the internet, where people are just sharing things with each other. Most of you probably have tons and tons of outtakes or images, interviews that have been done for 50, sometimes 100 years. All of this is now great fodder for discussion in the new social web. We also heard about Art of the Trench today, and clearly that's an incredibly successful site. The last stats I heard was that there were 4 million views of the photos on Art of the Trench, which in and of itself is incredible. But the other thing that's great, and part of the reason that's probably happened, is that they've made everything very shareable. And you'd be surprised how many brands, if you go to their websites and you try to right-click on the images, they've blocked it. Chanel put out a video last year with Audrey Tautou. It was a beautiful video, really stunning to watch. And there was a notice on there saying, it is prohibited to share this content outside the website. But of course, you can't control what's shared. And so making your content shareable is part of what unlocks it and enables people to evangelize and celebrate it. So I encourage everyone to share your content. Make it easy to share these brand assets that you work so hard to put together. I said here, use social media to seed your content. Reward your fans and followers by making sure they are the first to hear about new things. So this is the McQueen Twitter page. You want to reward those people. Make them the first to know. They're the ones who are going to share it with everybody. The other person who tweeted about the show in September was Lady Gaga, who has 1.5 million followers. And when she tweeted about the show, because her new song, Bad Romance, was debuting at the show, at the end of the show, this live stream of the McQueen show crashed. The other thing you'll notice is the number 0 in terms of following. I think it's a bit odd to set up a page, a Twitter page, and send out interesting information and have people respond, and then to not engage at all. This is another invitation that we received, and it was a personalized email that used my name and said, "Dear Imran, we're having this event in London. We would really like you to be there because we know that you love and to talk about technology and fashion on your website. How could anyone like me say no to that invitation?" You'd be surprised how many invitations we do get that are completely unpersonalized. So get personal, target the ones that are interested in what you have to say. This is a really, really big point. The question about control came up earlier today, and I have to say, I really agree that one of the biggest issues that luxury brands and retailers have is ceding control. I hate to break it to you, but you've already lost control. Right? The control isn't there. Even if you think you're controlling the messaging now, you're not. And the most insulting thing for a blogger is that if you give them some information and they've decided to write about your brand or your product or your show, and you're not happy with it, that you try to control them. Part of the engaging in the social web is accepting that not everyone's going to love you all of the time. The reason bloggers have such engaged audiences is precisely because they say what they think. And finally, learn how to take a hint. So sometimes I'll get the same press release or the same message sent to me over and over again saying, "Did you get this? Did you get this? Did you get this?" And it's kind of like that desperate guy at a bar hitting on a girl and trying over and over, and the girl's being really, really nice, saying, "Listen, have a boyfriend," or not really looking to get into a relationship, but the guy keeps persisting. He's not doing himself any favors, and neither are you doing yourself any favors if you keep beating down the door. And I really like the way Susie Bubble said it here. If I feel I can get interesting and engaging content out of it, I'll do it. It's got nothing to do with brand allegiance as such. So it might not be that they don't like your brand. It might be that they just wrote about you, or they're not particularly interested in your new product, or any number of reasons why at that particular moment they're not interested. So take a hint, accept no for an answer, and gracefully wait until your next opportunity. And that, my friends, is the 10 commandments of engaging with bloggers.